call tonight is, are you going to be a part of it? Because there is a move that has started. There's something that is happening in the spirit realm. There is something that is triggering right now, and we're all saying, God, we don't want to miss this move. And so when we look at the default dunamis, let's look at the defaulted dunamis. Judges chapter 13, verse 1 and 8. Defaulted dunamis. The perils of privilege. Power without chastity. We look at Judges chapter 13, verse 1. It says, against the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, so the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistine for 40 years. A certain man of Zorah, named Manoah, from the clan of the Danites, had a wife who was sterile and remained childless. And the angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, you are sterile, you are childless, but you're going to conceive, you're going to have a son. Now see to it that this son is going to be a separated son. It's going to be a son devoted for my purpose. You're not just going to have children just to populate earth and breathe in oxygen and let out carbon dioxide. This boy, this girl is going to have a purpose. Therefore, parents, see to it that this boy does not drink wine. He's not intoxicated. He's going to have to say no to certain things where the other kids are say yes to. This boy from the beginning have to be parented. He has to say no to wine, other fermented drinks, and he cannot eat anything unclean. Is he separated? So parents, listen to me. Your responsibility for your children is that you can either bring the children and groom them to be a part of this royal priesthood, or you can groom them to populate earth without a function or a destiny. Understand, parents, when you take your children and drop them off to a schoolyard, it doesn't mean they're in school. It doesn't mean they're participating. And then when the kids are losing their grades, you blame the teachers, and you talk about racism, and you talk about a lot of things, but what is lacking is that you are not parenting your children, because in your heart, you don't believe your boy or your son is a part of this royal priesthood. Therefore, you drop him off like you drop off a piece of dog, and then he comes home, and you feed the boy, and you feed the girl, but you're not grooming a part of the royal priesthood. When you drop off your children at a church building, it doesn't mean that they're activated in church. They can sit in a church and get pregnant with the coot boy that they're hanging out on the outside is, and then you put up your nose and you begin to blame pastors and say pastors are not doing anything, but you're dropping off your kids like dogs. You're not into your kids' life. You don't know what's going on. You don't know their friends. You don't even know what's their grade. Therefore, you're not grooming a royal priesthood. You're grooming a human being for active sexuality. So God says, look, this boy is different. So I'm asking parents, either your children are different or not, or are you just breeding children to develop hooligans? You have to decide. Because let me tell you something, you can't go to God with foolishness, because you're going to have a performance appraisal. He's going to look at you. He's going to see what you have done. And you can't talk foolishness about teachers. You can't talk foolishness about pastors. You can't fuss foolishness about the prime minister. You better tell him what you did on your watch. God's plan for your children is to be a king and a queen. Therefore, your children are prince and princesses. So they have to dress that way. They have to look that way. They have to talk that way. If they don't do that, then they will not become it. And so we have to start a revolution. We're not going to dress like everybody else. We're not going to act like everybody else, because we are the royal priesthood. We are prince. We are princesses in the name of Jesus. And we're starting a revolution. We're not followers. We are leaders. In the name of Jesus, we are leaders. That's a revolution. God says, I predestined you to be a prince. It is in your DNA. It's systemic. For you to act anything than a prince or a princess, it means you have deviated from your natural systemic DNA. You're made in the image of God. Never mind the biological function. You are literally made in the image of God. That is the level of your integrity, which means when you understand that and believe it, you will manifest it. So a teacher can't tell you're a stupid because you know you're made in the image of God. You're not going to sleep around with every boy in the campus because you're made in the image of God. You're not going to waste your seed on every girl because you're made in the image of God. That is your level. So we need to start a revolution. Going into that arts and entertainment, you need to be the designer. You don't follow every design. You create your own culture. You create what you want to look. You want to be distinct. You want to be unique. You want to walk into a room and people look at you. You don't want to be one of the mass. This boy is different. He has to take a Nazarite vow. It goes on to talk. It says you're going to conceive. You're going to give birth to a son. But no razor must be used on his head specifically because the boy is to be a Nazarite. He's to be set apart for God from the very birth. He will begin the deliverance of the Israelites. He will be deliverer. He will be the deliverer from the enemy. So even his hairstyle has to be specific. Everything has to be specific. Not every hairstyle you get involved with, you got to know why. Well, if you want to put your hair in dreadlocks, you got to know why. You have to understand the Rasta culture. If you want to tattoo yourself all over your body, you got to understand why. Because you could be marking yourself for the devil and you don't even know it. Because you don't know the spirit that is behind it. Come on, people, wake up and smell the deception. We got to start a revolution here. I am watching people emaciate their bodies. Call it art. And what bothers me is that it's permanent. And many of the marks is demonic. It means you have now introduced your body to be a temple of another spirit that is represented by the face that you have carved upon your body. So it means we have to get involved here and we have to start massive deliverance training, because a massive deliverance, once you mark the body, you're opening up yourself for the entrance of that demonic entity. You call it art. Satan calls you a fool. This young man, even his hairstyle is specific. You are disciplined because you know your calling. You're disciplined because you understand. It says the woman went to her husband and told him, a man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God. Very awesome. I didn't even ask him where he came from. And he didn't tell me his name. But he said to me, you will conceive. You will give birth specifically to a son. People of God, the great thing is that God chose even your gender because you're too special. Come on, people, lift up your right hand and say, I'm special. Say, I'm special. Say, I'm special. God chose me. I am special. Everything about you is special. Every single thing is not an accident. I used to say, God, what is in my life? How come you choose me for ministry? And I'm a woman. And a lot of people don't accept women. And etc., etc. He says, because everything about you is specifically chosen. Because some of us is to break religious paradigm. Mess up people's thinking.